Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I am Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today?
I'm great now that I remembered at the very last second to bring my microphone around.
Yeah, it's a key part of the element that we use in this podcast. Although last week, if you listen to that, we didn't have microphones, which makes it sound way different when you don't have a microphone. So, but we have to do that when we have guests on until we can get our producer back from vacation, can figure out how to do all that technical jargon stuff. But until then, we are back, and we've got a good show, I think ahead of us here, bud. I'm pretty excited. The NCAA first weekend was unreal. We've got a 15 seed in the Sweet 16.
That's right.
Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, I think so.
Was that St. Mary's run with the old nun?
Sister Jean was Loyola.
Not St. Mary's. Yeah,
Loyola.
Loyola.
Were they 15? I thought they were lower than 15 or higher. I still don't remember.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Higher or lower? How does that work? So if you're a 15 and you're higher seed, does that mean you're 14 and above? Because that's a lower number. But if you're a lower seed, how does that work? What's the highest seed you can get in the NCAA tournament? A 1 seed? Because to me, it would be a 16 seed. It would be
high
a 16.
Seed is 1, low seed is 16.
Okay, so then if you're going to say a 15 seed is the lowest seed.
Yeah, I thought Loyola was a higher seed than that.
Maybe. Okay, like so you thought they were like a
11,
14, 13. Like they were not an 11, were they? I thought 11. It was really crazy when they made that run.
What about they were green and blue?
Yeah. Yep. I know you're talking about the coach who had a broken leg.
Final four.
But they were like that was like an 11. That one was like an 11 seed.
Were they?
Not George Mason. Was it George Mason?
Mason did it 1 year.
Yeah.
I forget what they were anyway.
That was the coach who had a broken leg and like fell over while he was on his little scooter.
Yeah.
Or something
was that Hunter? His son was the best player. Yeah. Why can't I think of the name of that school?
Anyway, either way, we'll talk some NCAA today. We'll talk a couple things there. The WBC World Baseball Classic, dude. It's so funny because you listen into this, and I guess it's been a while, right? So they must not have done this during COVID because it's every 3 years, right?
Right.
They didn't, and you just like to hear the announcers, just like baseball's back. Everybody, baseball's back. Baseball. They're just like, this is so great for baseball. All the players said it's the greatest. They all said this was the most fun they've ever had playing baseball. Every person on that team, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, they're all like, this is the most fun I've ever had playing baseball. It was saying a lot for 2 of the top 5 players in baseball.
Yeah. I mean, you're in a clubhouse and playing games right now with the other best players in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's an all-star game every single day, every practice, everything.
And it's not the same old routine with these guys would be in spring training right now, dealing with the daily grind of a month and a half of spring training or whatever it is.
Instead, they're playing real, meaningful baseball games and going at it. Now, the managers do have to look out for pitch counts and stuff like that. I mean, there was a guy last night that came into relief that threw more pitches in that one inning than he had thrown in any inning last year, in any appearance last year. Most pitches he threw in an appearance last year was like 26, and he threw 28 or 29 pitches. And they were talking like, oh, I guarantee that they do not want him in right now, but they don't like that's you got they get to those relievers, it's like, all right, you got this inning, you got the next inning, let's go through. Or you got 3 batters, you got 1 batter, so because pitching is a big deal, right? I mean, that's put a lot of money into these guys, so they've got to be careful. But anyway,
we'll talk more about that. And there's a whole thing with Jose Altuve and that whole thing. It is technically an exhibit. We'll talk about all that in a little bit.
Well, I didn't hear the Altuve thing, so I'm excited. I don't know what that was. All right, that sounds good. So to start us off, let's talk. Start us off my favorite part of the podcast, which is, of course, the Reese's, where we take some Reese's peanut butter chocolate every week, a different type of Reese's candy. We've had so many. I can't even explain to you how many we've had. It's got to be somewhere around 30.
At least way more than that, right?
I mean, have we been doing this for a full year now?
Yeah, probably.
I know there was Halloween candy.
Yep.
So at least from Halloween.
Yeah. I feel like before that too. Anyway, either way, we are in a new holiday now, and we continue with Easter coming up.
I knew it was coming.
We have Reese's
just saw these the other day.
eggs.
And so here's the deal with these Reese's Pieces eggs. I had some the other day.
Okay.
I was at my mother-in-law's house. We had a little dinner, a little family dinner, and on the table, she's got some, the egg whoppers. She's got the normally like those chalky eggs. Those are my personal favorite.
Okay.
I think they're Cadbury, maybe
like the robin eggs.
Yeah, robin eggs up there. Yeah, those are my personal favorite, just because I like to chip the chocolate off, just like everything else. Like a sunflower seed, we finally got down to the real nuts and bones of why I eat. Is that what it's not what it's called? Is it? Is that not what it's called?
It is now.
Get down to the real brass knuckles of it all, and you really figure out why
brass tacks.
I don't know. What is it called? I need help.
It's called you don't. That's perfect.
I
love nuts and bones.
I'm gonna continue until I figure out exactly what it is. The bare bones. Is that it? The bare bones of it all? That's close. Okay. Of why I choose stuff with a candy hard shell the way I do, because of sunflower seeds. Anyway, man, the nuts and bones. That's the nuts and bones of it right there. But when I tried it, I was like, you can really taste the difference in Reese's peanut butter between a Reese's Pieces and a Reese's cup.
Peanut butter cup, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
First bite, Adam. First impressions?
First impressions, they're bigger than I expected.
Yeah. About the size of a robin egg.
Yeah, maybe a little bit smaller, but I think between a robin egg and a Reese's Piece.
So that's why I was thinking, that's why I really tasted the difference, because there's a lot more of the Reese's Pieces peanut butter in here, which is a different type of peanut butter.
Way different type of peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you up front, not as big a fan of this peanut butter as I am of the cup.
I love Reese's Pieces peanut butter in the small dose that you get it around the candy shelf.
Yeah. And honestly, a regular size pack of those is more than plenty for me, because it's a different peanut butter. You kind of get a different feel, like a mouth feel. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. Give me 10 gallons of water now. It was good, but that's all.
Time to move on. Yeah. This peanut butter is not getting stuck in the top of your mouth or anything like that.
No. Nope.
I'm going to tell you this though. I do like them because it just tastes like a giant Reese's Pieces. Usually our stuff that we're like, kind of down on with Reese's is still like a 9.4,
right?
Which is probably where I'm going to go with this.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it is. I still feel like it's a little bit different for some reason than the regular Reese's Piece.
It's the amount. There's so much more peanut butter in
there. Yeah, I guess so. I'm trying to figure out if the shell is different too. Is there a different taste on the shell? No,
I don't think so.
Okay. But there's more surface area, so it's more shell too. It's, not in relation to the rest of it, but I don't know. They're fine. You going 9.4? You got an official score?
Yeah, 9.4. 9.4. I'm going right off top of the dome, man.
Okay. 9.4 is not bad, and I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go 9.
That's low. Okay.
Yep.
On a scale of 0 to 10, 9 is low.
That's right.
That's how we roll here. All right. Let's move on to our first segment of the day, sports segment. Let's talk about this NCAA tournament. Number one, congratulations to the Xavier Musketeers. We had Adam Baum on last week, and when they get to the Final Four, he said he's coming on beforehand. Super stoked for that.
Yes, sir.
So that being said, first game against Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State's first time ever being in the tournament.
Ooh.
And Kennesaw State put a scare on them boys. Xavier hit 1-3 in the first 30 minutes of the game. Or maybe 35 minutes of the game. And then Kunkel hit a 3. And when he hit that 3, the second of the day, they were like 2 for 12. The second best 3-point shooting team in the country. and the best assist team in the country.
That's my favorite part of this Xavier team.
And struggled in that game. Missed a lot of easy bunnies. Apparently, too, I found out. After that first game, next game was delayed like 25 minutes because they had to rebalance the hoop.
Yeah, I saw them working on that. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so something was off there. Anyway, that's besides the point. They both had to shoot at the same thing. They each had to shoot at one time. So maybe Xavier got it the first half and Kennesaw State got second half. Xavier put on a nice little run at the end of that game to show that they were the better team, that they're the more dominant team, but their lack of depth is going to hurt them. They came out and played Pitt after that, and you're just always watching fouls with Xavier. You're always watching fouls when you play seven, but predominantly six guys. You're staring at that fouls the whole time. But they played the way Xavier plays, and they made a ton of shots. And I'm going to tell you this: we don't foul a lot. This whole year, Xavier's not been a big fouling team. When they get out and run, bud, I'll tell you what, they are so good in transition. Yeah. And when I say they've got transition sets, which I know and it doesn't make sense, but they get in transition and they'll run a set while they're in transition and get a bucket. And when I say it sounds silly, right? So they're not in transition anymore because it may be 5-on-4 or 4-on-5, but they're still running and it's instant off of that they're getting baskets and everybody's moving up and down the court. And everybody's telling me how they're going to be terrible because of how many people, because of how deep they're not deep enough and how bad that Kennesaw State was. And then they got to see what Xavier looks like 98% of the time. And that's what they played against Pitt. And I think they can score with anybody. So they've proven that time and time and time again. This Texas game's going to be tough, but Texas might be the best team. Them and Alabama are probably the two best teams in the country left.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yep.
So, but we're rooting for the Muskies. There's so much more in the tournament. I just wanted to get that out of the way because we had Adam on last week. So if anybody else is listening, let's get the Xavier stuff out of the way and let's go from there. What's the biggest surprise to you in the tournament?
Among the teams left or just period?
Just period.
I mean, you had the second 16 seed to beat a 1 seed ever. And so then you had, it was, let's see.
Fairleigh Dickinson.
And then they played
Florida Atlantic.
Yeah. Who was, they were a 9 seed, I think.
Yep.
But still.
Great game, by the way.
Yeah. And then you had Furman beating Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously some upsets. Every single year you have upsets. Those are exciting.
It was a little excessive, though. It felt like it's getting more and more excessive on the upsets in that first round. You're getting more 1 seeds now. I mean, in the last 5 years, I was watching this thing on Virginia. In the last 5 years, they lost in the first round as a 16 seed or as a 1 seed. They won the national championship the next year and then lost in the first round, and now lost in the first round.
Yeah.
They've either lost in the first round or won the national championship in each of the last 5 years.
And they have great regular seasons all the time. And they're one of the best defensive teams in the country every single year.
Yep.
And then it just doesn't, but they win games 62-56,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a certain style that'll do fine for you most of the year, but it's about matchups in the tournament.
Tournament is all about matchups.
Yeah.
And that Fairleigh Dickinson team had big guards. They pushed them away, just like everybody was talking about. I had Memphis beating Purdue in the second round. Memphis didn't beat Florida Atlantic, so it doesn't matter. But I had them beating Purdue in the second round because I thought they had big guards that could keep them away and not get Zach Edey the ball. Zach Edey didn't get a touch in the last, 8 minutes of that game or something like that.
Crazy. Yeah.
Or maybe he got he didn't have a attempted shot in the last 8 minutes.
They had an out of bounds play late in the game that they lobbed to him and it just went right through his hands.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy. Plenty of upsets, like we said. And then, the next round, the Saturday and Sunday, the round of 32 or whatever they call it now, is even more exciting sometimes because now you have your upset teams that get to play in the second round against an even better team. You have two good, every round from there on out is better and better and better teams. So you expect better games.
Yep.
And it's, fewer games this coming weekend, but they look on paper like they're all going to be really good games for the most part.
So what are your thoughts on this Sweet 16? Give me your, who goes to the Elite Eight? So in the South, you've got Alabama and San Diego State and Creighton and Princeton.
Yeah, I would think Alabama is, certainly maybe the best team left. But San Diego State every year seems like they match up. You're waiting to see how they match up against the teams from the bigger conferences.
It's those West Coast teams, man, especially in San Diego State. Am I wrong? Are they with St. Mary's and Gonzaga or no?
No.
What are they in?
They're in the Mountain West, maybe?
Okay.
Or something like that. Anyway.
Either way.
And they usually win that conference.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they must recruit well or a certain way every year because they're good most years, and sometimes they match up with those bigger teams from the bigger conferences pretty well, and that might be the case against Alabama. But Alabama is super, super talented,
and we're not going to get into the legal
ramifications
that Alabama has. Number one, because I don't have all of the answers for it, and I don't. It's very crazy. So we're just going to talk about the games.
But Miller is like one of the best players. I mean, he might be a lottery pick.
Yeah. So let's go down to that Creighton versus a 15 seed in Princeton.
Mm-hmm.
Princeton knocked off. They knocked off Arizona and Missouri, and they beat Missouri by 15.
Mm-hmm.
This is not your dad's backdoor Princeton team. This team, they are not. They get up and down the court. They put the ball in the basket. They shoot a lot. It's not just keep passing and screening until you get somebody backdoor. It's a much more high flying offense than the old John Thompson III and whoever was before him.
Yeah. Yep. And this is an exciting team to watch.
They are.
It's fun to watch guys that can shoot and move the ball and get up and down. It's so fun. This is almost a game where I might find myself rooting for Princeton. Although I like Creighton. I really like Greg McDermott a lot.
Creighton was the number one. They were picked to win the Big East this year, and injuries hurt them a lot, and they came in third, I want to say, fourth. But this team is good.
Yeah.
I mean, they should probably be a 4 seed if they didn't go through the injuries that they went through.
Yeah.
They're a totally different team. This is a much better team than the Creighton team of the regular season, and they're showing it.
Yep. So this feels like a game that could be either a really, really good game or Creighton could win by 10 to 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see print, although I probably didn't see that against Missouri either. So who knows?
Or Arizona.
Right. Yes, of course. Yep. So I expect it to be a good game too. If I'm picking Creighton.
I'm picking Creighton as well, just because I really like Creighton and I had them in the Elite Eight anyway.
Mm-hmm. Florida Atlantic, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. This Florida Atlantic team can score, and I don't know. I can't remember the guy's name, the kid's name who's doing all of the scoring for them. What's his name here? I just saw him a minute ago. Where's he at?
Oh, Jonathan Gregory.
Yeah. Is that his name?
Yeah, it's either that or Pete McGalliard. One of those guys.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm staring at an app right now. But no, yes. No, at this point in time, here's the deal. This is how it goes. That first weekend is let's go upsets. Let's pick the upsets. Who's got it? When you get to that second weekend, it's all right. Now we're here for the games. Like the Blue Bloods need to win. Nobody wants to see FAU versus Princeton in the Final Four. Nobody wants to see that. Right. No, nobody's going to watch that game. I'm not going to watch that game. I care less. I mean, probably will just because I'm going to watch it. But like if the random person was like, hey, Princeton's playing Florida Atlantic. Okay.
During the regular season, yeah, I'm not watching that.
Okay. Yeah, don't care. But if somebody said, "Hey, Texas is playing Xavier," I'm like, "Oh, I'm in on that 100%." So everybody wants the blue bloods and the better teams to be in it at the end.
Yeah, the most talent.
I'm going with Creighton. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm going with who are they playing?
Tennessee.
I'm going with Tennessee.
Yep. And Tennessee had started the year pretty well and were very highly ranked and hit some road bumps along the way and then finished kind of poorly. I think they finished I want to say they lost 5 of their last 10 or something like that. Maybe even 4 out of their last 6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So not a great end of the season, but the talent is definitely there. They're a very talented team. Rick Barnes is a great coach, and he's going to figure it out for the tournament. So yes, it'll be a fun story if Florida Atlantic wins that game. People are going to enjoy it. It'll be fun. But Tennessee certainly is most likely the more talented team there. So I'm going to pick Tennessee as well.
Yep. All right. So Kansas State and Michigan State. Tom Izzo doing what Tom Izzo does. And once again, this is another team that had a lot of injuries throughout the year, and they are just now getting healthy and gelling for the first time. I've heard a couple interviews with Tom Izzo, and he's like, listen, I've thought from the beginning this is one of the best teams I've ever had. We just couldn't get healthy. And that's pretty big. I mean, I don't know. To say, you don't have to say that. You could say, I think this is a really good team. He said, this is one of the best teams I've ever had.
That is big.
That's big.
Man, yeah.
So that, once again, that's Tom Izzo going through some kind of he made a joke on the Dan Patrick show. I think some of the fans here think that I just golf and everything during the regular season and I don't start coaching until the tournament comes.
That is not the case.
Which, by the way, too, Dan Patrick yesterday, Tom Izzo's on. Tom Izzo went into a whole spiel about he doesn't know that this is the profession he wants to be in with the state of college basketball right now. He does not like the name, image, likeness. He does not like the social media, the transfer portal. He was talking about all these things, and he's like, he said to Dan Patrick, I'm really thinking about my profession. I don't know that I want to continue doing this. He said there's a lot of really good coaches out there that are gonna recruit the transfer portal and recruit name, image, likeness and these big money contracts. And I don't know that I like this. I don't know. I was like, wow, that is, and maybe that's the reason you're seeing these Coach K's
already started
in the Jay Wrights, Chris Mack's like, I'm good right now. My daughter's in high school. She's playing all this stuff. I'm good. I don't know. I love coaching, but I'm good right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've definitely heard that a lot of the coaches are stepping out because of that. Mm-hmm. College coaches. And we'll talk a lot about that stuff in a little bit here when we talk about the greatest current head coaches in college basketball.
Exactly. Mount Rushmore.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm taking Michigan State because I really do. Listen, Tom Izzo says it's one of the best teams he's ever had. I'm behind Tom Izzo.
Hard to go against Michigan State. Hard to go against Tom Izzo, especially in March. This Kansas State team is good.
They've got 2 players.
But they've looked really good, though.
Yeah.
Against Kentucky, and I mean, to beat Montana State, that's a feat. No,
I don't know what this little guard's name is, and I can't remember. Is it Noel or something like that?
Yep.
That kid took over that Kentucky game, and I'm going to tell you right now, he might be the best passer in the tournament.
Wow.
I mean, he made some incredible passes.
Yeah, he did.
But he's did you watch that game at all? The Kentucky Kansas State game? So here's my takeoff on it, right? You hear New York flashy guards, right? It's all about New York guards. The rotating the ball around your back on every free throw attempt, if I'm a coach, I can't handle that.
Really?
I can't handle that. Around the back thing, like you're doing it for one reason, just so everybody talks about what you're doing right now. Around your back?
There are other players that have done that.
I've never seen somebody put a ball around their back and then shoot a free throw.
Listen, if that's part of your routine,
And he makes them. And he makes them. So I get it. Maybe I'm overdoing it because I've only seen him once, and I'm like, oh my gosh, a little over the top. And then he also made some really bad passes because he was trying to get too fancy, and he chucked up some bad shots because he was feeling it, and things were going well for him, and he threw up some shots that could have hurt them down the stretch if Kentucky had a coach that could do something X's and O's wise and try to stop them somehow. Nope, scratch that off. That's right. Scratch that off the Mount Rushmore. No, it's not best recruiters still in college basketball. No, it's different than that. Anyway, but
I'm going Kansas State in this game.
Okay, I'm going Michigan State. Perfect.
First one that we went
opposite on. All right, so let's go to the, what is this? This is the Midwest, my division, the Xavier Musketeers, but we'll start at the top. Houston's got that Solaire kid or whatever his name is. He's back. They're full strength. They're going to be tough to beat. They're playing Miami of Florida, 5 seed, that was able to knock off the 4 seed Indiana, which is one of the most up and down teams in college basketball over the last 8 years.
Yeah, really. And you know what? They Miami beat a really good Drake team, and I'm serious about that.
Yeah,
in the first round. A lot of people had Drake on that upset, but Miami has put it together. You know what? You play in the ACC all year and every year. You are so battle tested. That's a big way that I select when I'm picking winners of these games every year. Your strength of schedule and the league you play in, I think, is one of the biggest factors. Mm-hmm. So, and Miami plays in a much tougher conference than Houston does. This is I've been
talking about this Houston playing in a conference where they don't play anybody, and then their first guy was hurt. Their best guy was hurt. Who's back now?
Sasser.
What did I call him? Sailor, something like that. Anyway, Sasser. I've been talking bad about them a lot. They're a good basketball team.
They're really good.
They're a really good basketball team.
That's one of the very few teams I got to see in person this year. I went to the UC game when they were here.
Yeah.
And man, when they pressure and they double the ball coming off the floor, they have giant, really athletic guys, like 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
And then they have really good guards too.
Yep.
And they're very impressive, and they're very well coached. I'm taking Houston in this.
Me too.
Okay.
100%. That's an easy one for me. As much as you can be battle tested, that Houston team is good. I've finally seen them. Everybody that's heard me over the past week, I'm buying in. I'm buying into the Houston.
Nice.
I don't even know what they are. The Houston whatevers. Cougars. Yeah. There you go.
All right.
Xavier, Texas. This is I think this is gonna be the best game of the entire
I do too.
Sweet 16. Xavier is
no, I don't.
No, who's the
I think Gonzaga UCLA might be,
okay. Well, I can't stand UCLA, so there's nothing about UCLA that's gonna be good. And it's not UCLA. I love UCLA. I just don't like Mick Cronin. So Texas, I don't know a lot about them. But I'm going to tell you right now that Xavier has 6 guys. We scored 84 points, and no one had 20. That's impressive, if you ask me. 6 guys with over 10 points. Nobody had 20. They spread the ball. They move the ball around as well as anybody in basketball. Obviously, they average most assists. If there's a team that lives and dies by the 3, then I'm like, you know what? I'm not a fan of them going deep. But if you're in the top 3 or 4 in the country from the 3-point line, that's not living and dying by the 3. You're just a really good 3-point shooting team. That's totally different. Because I keep hearing people go, oh, well, yeah, they keep talking about how they live and die by the 3. No, we don't live and die by the 3. We beat Kennesaw State down low because we couldn't make a 3. That doesn't happen for Xavier. It just doesn't happen. That might be the second time this year they couldn't make a shot.
If it happens again against Texas,
can't win. Unless you figure it out early and Jack Nungy gets hot. And I'm going to tell you right now, Hunter has been the MVP of this tournament for Xavier.
Great.
And they continue to go to him right away, right off the bat, to keep him hot. And he's feeling good.
But that's what I mean. Your matchups against Kennesaw State are going to be a lot different.
100%. Yeah.
Against,
I know. I'm telling you, yes, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But that goes for anybody. If anybody's shots aren't falling in this round in the Sweet 16, if your shots aren't falling, you're going to lose.
Yeah. Yep. Just for fun, I'm going to root my face off for Xavier.
But you're going
to pick Texas.
It's okay. You pick Texas. I'm taking Xavier. Just because I want them to go undefeated against the AAC this year. Make it to their first Final Four. And Sean Miller's first Final Four.
There you go.
That's never a good sign.
No, it's fine.
One of the best coaches left, and he's never been in a Final Four. Anyway.
This might have been the year if he was still at Arizona.
Yeah. Well, they didn't make it past 64. Arkansas and UConn. UConn is another one of these teams that are up and down. They got a Hurley coaching them who is a hothead, an absolute hothead. That's the I'm not taking UConn because I don't like their coach.
Really?
No, don't like him. When you lead the country in technical fouls, then you're just Mick Cronin.
Oh, did he
really? I don't know if he did, but I know in like the first 7 games, he had 6 technical fouls.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He had one against Xavier. I don't even know how he got it. I think they just walk over and give him one every game.
It's that whole Rasheed Wallace thing.
Exactly. You're just getting it because you got the rep.
Your reputation precedes you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're picking Arkansas anyway.
Yep.
I'll tell you, speaking of coaches, Eric Musselman, I can't decide how I feel about him. And I
love him.
I don't know if I do though, because I feel like I've seen enough, taking his shirt off.
Bert Kreischer, man.
No, this isn't comedy. This is basketball.
He did it when he coached for somebody else, whoever it was.
Do it in the locker room. Don't do it on the floor.
Hey, man.
Don't do it on the floor.
Listen.
You can be really excited, even if you stand up. That's not coach-like either, even standing up on the table or whatever and cheering your fans on. I'll even allow that. Taking your shirt off. Look, you're in great shape, buddy, for a 50-year-old guy or whatever you are. But come on. Keep your shirt on. If you want to go in the locker room and take your shirt off for whatever reason, sure. But anyway,
beat Kansas, man. Beat Kansas. A Bill selfless Kansas.
Selfless. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I love Eric Musselman.
That's fine. Yeah.
I like him better than Hurley. At least he's doing positive things.
Here's the thing. I'm going to take Arkansas in this game because I feel like UConn, I saw UConn play a couple of times, I think this year, at least once.
You don't know what you're going to get at.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And Arkansas might have had some ups and downs too. I mean, they're an 8 seed, I think.
I mean, UConn was the number 1 team in the country at one point.
Yeah.
Off reputation only. I mean, off of one win early in the season. In like 5 games in, they're number 1 seed because nobody else was left because everybody kept losing. And then they got knocked off too. Who knocked them off?
A couple teams, I think.
Who knocked them off? Xavier did. That's right. I was trying to remember.
Oh, yeah. You remembered now. Okay. I think we're both going Arkansas in that game. Let's talk about the last one here, and that is Gonzaga UCLA.
In the West. Yeah. I'm going to take Gonzaga. Drew, I love that Drew Timmy kid. I love Gonzaga. Mark Few. I love everything about Gonzaga.
Me too.
There's not a lot about UCLA that I like outside. I feel bad for that guard that's been there for like 75 years.
Tiger Campbell.
With that huge hair that he's got. I feel bad that he's had to just endure Mick Cronin for this long. I feel like his talents could have been better served somewhere else.
Do you think Mick Cronin is a bad coach, or do you just not like watching him coach? Because that's my thing.
I don't like watching him coach.
Yeah.
I don't know how he is as a coach. I watched him at UC. I don't think he was a great coach at UC. I don't think his players always bought into him. But a Midwest guy, I mean, you're a Cincinnati guy, and
GCL.
You get dogged in your own city a lot. And your players hear you getting dogged and stuff like that. You go to UCLA, all of a sudden you're kind of pimping around with everybody, wearing the nice digs and doing things differently. and you don't have that hometown bite back at you. You know what I mean? Like that whole Mick Cronin thing. I mean, Mick got run through the dirt with a few things. Him talking about Mick sitting in the back seat while him and his brother were going to AAU games, and you know what I mean? Like just teasing that dude hometown. So I think his best thing. I mean, the reason I think he's more successful at UCLA because he's able to actually coach now and not. I feel like there was always a little chip on his shoulder or something here, and he doesn't know how to handle a chip on his shoulder except screaming, yelling, look like a thermometer's about to blow up. Does any of that make sense?
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't think he stays at UCLA as long as he's been there. I don't think he has the success they've had over the last couple of years.
Yeah, but none of those kids he recruited.
Yeah,
he was coaching somebody else's kids.
But even so,
I know.
And yeah,
because his kids here were not buying it.
Especially now, I think probably way more players that play for him love him more than we know.
I'm sure.
But I don't know. For me, UCLA is a legacy basketball program that I love for that reason, for John Wooden and all the players we talked about a couple weeks ago with the Mount Rushmore. So it's for the kids that are there. I really like that Tiger Campbell kid, Jaime Jaquez, and a couple other guys that seem like they've been there for 10 years. It would be fun to see them win. I think it was it 2 years ago they got beat by Baylor, I want to say, in the championship game last year or the year before.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So I mean, a couple of those guys got a chance to play in a national championship game. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it takes to get to the Final Four and win a game and play in the national championship game. And so I think that experience is going to help them a lot. Their two best players are 8th-year seniors. So, but Gonzaga is kind of the same for me. Not for as long, but for a long time now. Number one,
25 years.
Yeah, John Stockton was there. All the
John
guys.
Stockton was there 40 years, 50 years ago.
He was there 50 years ago. But I like teams for that reason.
Yeah, but but honestly, they have been 25 years strong since we were probably getting into high school or just before high school, probably.
Yep.
I mean, with Adam Morrison, who was the guy before? Was Adam Morrison that first team, or was there
Dan Dickow?
Dan Dickow was the one. That's right, because Adam Morrison get Dan Dickow.
Blake Stepp, Adam Morrison. They've had a bunch of really good guys. Jeremy Pargo, Ronnie Turioff, and so many guys. And Mark Few. I mean, he's been there a pretty long time now,
and he's turned that campus into I'm not going to act like Xavier is Gonzaga in any way, shape, or form. Trust me.
But it's a very similar path, though.
Similar path, right? Exactly. So, and what they've done on campus because of the success they've had as a basketball school, it's unbelievable. Though, like Xavier's facilities are first class all the way around, and they're constantly upgrading them and updating them so they never get behind. Like they will never be behind on facilities. Gonzaga, listening to all the stuff that Mark Few has had done, and I'm not saying Mark Few's had it done, but if it wasn't for Mark Few and when you become a basketball team, it's not a joke. It's statistics. Like when you start winning in the tournament and stuff like that happens, and you're a smaller school, your student rate gets higher. More kids start going to your school because whether they're closer to you or somewhere else, and they're like, oh, Gonzaga, I want to go to Gonzaga, man. I can go watch Gonzaga basketball for free, stuff like that. And dude, like they said, since like 1990 or 90 something, when Xavier made that first Sweet 16 run, 94 maybe, it's like doubled their, what is it called when you have, how many kids you have? Attendance. Thank you. It's insane. Enrollment, whatever. Okay, attendance is if you show up to class. Enrollment
is who's there.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, so whatever, same difference. But enrollment, so that's the thing. More enrollment, more money, more upgrades. Xavier's campus is huge now compared to what it was when I was in high school.
Yep,
it's insane how much bigger that place is.
Mm-hmm.
They're building buildings I mean, there's 3 buildings going up every year, but that's what I'm saying about Gonzaga and these teams. It's I get it. I've got off onto a tangent. I apologize. So you're taking Gonzaga.
I'm going to take Gonzaga just because that's who I'm rooting for.
Me too, because I'm rooting against Mick Cronin. Should never root against a team, but I would rather root for the team, not against another. But
so then this week we're going to have to pick the winners of the Elite Eight too, because by the time we get back next week.
All right. So who do you got in the Final Four? Say that. Who's in your Final Four?
From that bracket, I'm going Gonzaga. I'm going. Boy, if we get Houston and Texas, I mean, that's going to be really something.
In Houston and Texas, that would be, oh no, wouldn't, I was going to say, would that be in Dallas? The Final Four is in Dallas, right? Wouldn't that be insane to have Houston and Texas in Dallas?
Is it in Dallas or is it in Houston?
Oh, maybe it is in Houston. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just talked to a buddy yesterday and he said, I'm going to Houston for the Final Four. I'm going to go Houston. I'm going to go Gonzaga, Houston, Alabama. Alabama. And I'm going Kansas State.
I'm going to tell you, I think that Creighton can give Alabama everything they can handle. But that Alabama team is just too good. I'm taking Alabama. I'm going to take Michigan State. So we're going to take that same game. I don't think either of us think FAU or Tennessee, or I don't think either of us think Tennessee can get out of there.
I think they can.
I mean, sure, of course, anybody can.
I think just as much as Kansas State or Michigan State, honestly.
Well, I'm going to take Michigan State. Yeah. And then I am going to take in the Gonzaga Arkansas game, I'm going to take Gonzaga. And in the Xavier Houston game, I'm taking my Muskies for the first Final Four ever.
There you go.
In Sean Miller 2.0.
All right. Very good.
It's kind of ridiculous, right? It's playing 7 kids, really playing 6. The 7th guy gets like
be hard, man. That's really going to catch up to you.
The 7th guy gets like 11 minutes a game. That's not going to happen.
It's going to catch up to you.
One time in foul trouble. One time, a big guy in foul trouble. Cesar Edwards is terrible defensively underneath. Anyway, nobody cares about that right now.
Well, we have Xavier fans listening to this.
Probably of if we had to take a poll, it might be one of the top, probably the top.
Probably. Yep.
All right. So that being said, let's move on to another, we'll get back into that next week. Let's move on to another, what do you want to call this? NCAA feat. We've got a feller by the name of
Antoine Davis.
Talk to me about Antoine Davis and let's figure out how we feel about Antoine Davis from Detroit Mercy.
That's right. He's a 5th year, I think, senior. Was so many points from, and
he's 25 years old.
25 years old.
Which John Morant's been in the league for 3 years and he's old and is still younger than this guy.
Yeah. By the way, back tonight, John Morant.
Yep. Off the bench.
For some reason, I don't understand that. But anyway.
Oh, it's because he's not in the best playing shape. And our team is doing so well, right?
He's
our team is still playing so well. Get out of town.
He's like the best athlete in the game. He doesn't need to come off the bench. Anyway, Antoine Davis plays for Detroit Mercy. He was so far away from close to breaking the NCAA Division I point scoring record.
The Antoine Davis I was looking at, that's 25 years old, I believe is a football player for Louisville. So, and he graduated in 2020. So I apologize. Let's go to this Antoine Davis.
How old is this Antoine Davis?
Might be just a little bit different. This Antoine,
he had to have gone away from college for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. That was insane. I don't know how old this guy is to give you an age, but I want to get his stats up. So you keep talking about this deal that's going on, and I'm going to get his stats up.
Detroit Mercy, I got a chance to watch. So he was creeping up, and the weirdest thing to me is this is such a major record, and there was hardly any media coverage on this thing until the last week, basically. So once they got into their conference tournament, he was 60 points away or something like that from, or maybe 80 or something from breaking Pete Maravich's NCAA Division I scoring record. Total points.
Yep.
He gets into their last game, which they lost in their conference tournament, and he gets to within, I think the game even went into overtime, if I remember right, because I was watching this game. This was 2 weeks ago now, at least 3 weeks ago, maybe. He's scoring. He gets to within 3 points, and they're losing the game. It's a tight game, so they need to score. They need to have good possessions, and they're clearly trying to go to him, which I think was a lot of their offense anyway.
Yes. I mean, he scored 28 points. He was 28.2 points per game this year.
Yeah. So he chucked up a couple shots that he probably shouldn't have, trying to get that scoring mark and also trying to win this game for them. He missed, it seemed like, his last 6 shots when he needed a 3 to tie it. He went to the free throw line. I want to say he might have missed a free throw or 2 at the end of the game. So anyway, he ends up, their season ends, he's 3 points shy. So to be honest with you, I'm watching that last game and sort of, this sounds really bad, but sort of rooting against him breaking Maravich's record because it's Pete Maravich, one of the all-time greats, one of the most fun players to go back and watch film of. And they made a really low budget family movie that we had on VHS and we watched a million times.
Yep.
And but he has all the homework basketball. There's some of their instructional videos. The one of the coolest ball handlers and passers ever. And by the way, scores as well. Hall of Famer. This kid plays for Detroit Mercy. Nobody knew who he was before the last week of the season until ESPN finally was like, oh yeah, there's this guy. He
About
has
to break the
10,000 college points and
3,664.
Thank you.
Is what he ended with. 3,667 is Pistol Pete's record.
Yeah. Who averaged 44 a game.
So we get an idea what happened. So let's get to the bare bones of this thing. I think I've got it figured out. I think it's bare bones.
No, I don't.
What did I say? Nuts and bones. Let's get down to the nuts and bones of this thing. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So if we get down to the brass knuckles of it all, then the real question is, how much did this matter? Because let me tell you this. Pete did it in 3 years, averaging 40 points.
44.
Well, I'm just saying over 40 in all 3 seasons, not just total. He averaged 40 points per game every year, at least, and did it in 3 years. It took this kid 5, and I don't care what you say about the COVID year. He still played 22 games his COVID season. We played 30 the rest of them. Like it's not a big deal to me. If this dude would have broke the record, it wouldn't mean anything to me. Pete did it in 3 years, averaging 44 points per game. I get it. Listen, records are made to be broken, right? I mean, we just had Aaron Judge hit 70 some home runs this year, and it's like it was the most undercovered thing I've ever seen in my life, right? But when the record's that long, right? Like you have Babe Ruth, and then it was Roger Maris, and it's like Roger Maris was in 61 and 61, and it went all the way into the 2000s. That's 40 years, right? Goes 40 years. What was it 98, 99, whenever he did it? Yeah. Just say 40 years for the sake of saying. It's a long time. Like this is the same thing. This is from the 70s into now. It's 40, 50 years. The thing that makes it mean something maybe is the length of time, but in the end, when you think of the home run record, you think of Babe Ruth, you think of Roger Maris, you don't think of Barry Bonds for sure. You don't think of Barry Bonds, and you don't think of all these guys doing like the American League record now is Aaron Judge. I think of it as, but then again, that was me growing up as a kid. That was the record all the time. So I don't know. Hey, either way, good for this kid. I think it's really cool. And I wish he would have got a chance to go into another tournament, because what happened with this tournament deal? He could have got into, that was the conference tournament. They've got the CBI, they've got the NIT.
So yeah, that's the thing. So they weren't invited to the NIT. Their last option is the CBI, right? That's where your bottom feeder teams that had,
those are teams that have a lot
records.
of, they're teams that have seniors that want to give their, that weren't very good, but want to give these kids an opportunity to play in a postseason.
Yeah, and even some of those teams from smaller conferences that had really good seasons, that had good records, but just didn't win their conference tournament, so that's
the only chance
only
they
getting one seed for one team out of the conference. So a great opportunity for kids that want to keep playing. They were not invited to the Detroit Mercy was not invited to the CBI. And in fact, Antoine Davis is upset because there were apparently some emails and calls to the folks that make those decisions on who is in the CBI saying, do not put Detroit Mercy in because we don't want to see Maravich's record get broken.
See, and that's the part that I don't like. Let the people at the CBI make the decision. Don't there's no reason for anybody to try to swim. If they're not good enough to get in it, then they're not going to get in it. If they're good enough to be in it, I don't care. Records are made to be broken. It's not going to diminish Pistol Pete Maravich in any way, shape, or form if he no longer has the scoring title for Division I NCAA players, and the guy lost it to is Antoine Davis from Detroit Mercy. No offense to Antoine Davis, he's a prolific scorer. Their team's not that good, and I'm not worried about it. Why do people do it? Like, who's sending these emails? Are you talking about just like Eggman on Twitter, or what are you talking about here? Or is this like officials, like college officials?
I don't know who was sending them, but people were speaking out about it, and they didn't want to see it, which I get, but also I don't disagree with what you're saying as well. Here's the thing. Antoine Davis is upset and feels like it's unfair that he didn't get that chance. Their team was like 14-19.
Then that's the case. I want to know what the rest of the teams in the CBI were first. Without knowing that, I can't say anything. Were there other teams that were that bad from conferences like that? If there were, then sure, you got something to do. But then see, now this goes the other way. This goes to a you don't just get a privilege because you are who you think you are. You don't get to be in the CBI and have your team jump someone else who's better than you guys just because you could break the scoring title. So pending on how this whole thing went down, that's my take. If he thinks that he should be there and his team's not good enough, I don't really care what you think, bud. Your team's not good enough. You're not going to be there. And if you think that you should be there just so you can break this record, should have scored 3 points in those last 9 shots. It's that simple. If it's the other way around and there's a lot of teams in there as good or the same type of team as Detroit Mercy, and you're not putting them in there just so this kid doesn't break it, then you 60-year-old ding dong sitting in a corner office somewhere, you shouldn't be doing the job you have, because that's not up to you to decide if this kid breaks the record or not. It's not up to you. You put the teams in the tournament that need to be in the tournament. He breaks it. That's my take.
I agree with you.
I take both sides because I don't know the whole backstory.
Yeah.
It's the easy way to, it's the cop out, but I feel strongly both ways. So you tell me, if I knew, like, anybody listening to this, we at some point in time, we look up the records. That'll tell you how I feel about it.
Here's the thing. I don't think anybody with a losing record should get a chance to play in the postseason anyway.
I mean, I'm fine with that, but if the CBI has teams like that in it all the time, then it is what it is.
I doubt they do. I doubt they're just letting anybody play in that. Nobody pays attention to it. I couldn't tell you one team that's in the CBI, but it's 1 year I actually filled out a CBI bracket. but
that does not surprise me. Charlotte, Eastern Kentucky.
I watched that game tonight. Actually, it was a good game.
Radford. Let's see.
I think all these teams are
winning
records.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look up the bracket.
So I agree with you. And here's the thing. If you are part of the committee or whoever makes that decision to put teams in the CBI, to invite them at least, you can get all the emails and phone calls you want, but if you're letting that, I don't imagine they're letting that make that decision for them. Now, we all know how corrupt just about everything is now. So if it's a donor that puts up money to run the CBI or something like that, and they say, here's my money, you can keep this if you do not put Detroit Mercy in there, then that's a problem that needs to be taken care of then too. And that's when it's not fair. If they are deserving of getting in, yes. With a record like, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like they had 14 wins and they were well under 500. And if that's the case, no matter what, I don't think you should get a chance to be in a postseason tournament. So not to take away an opportunity, it would have been awesome for the kid. I don't think anybody else. And the more I think about it, you're right. Legacy wise, everybody knows who Pistol Pete was. Most people are not going to know in 5 years. People are not going to know who Antoine Davis is.
Right.
Even if they see his name at the top of that list, they're going to have to go back and look him up and probably find some video or whatever. But it's just not, I think playing in a bigger conference for a more well-known team and being a bigger name, there's something in my mind that, fair or unfair, makes me kind of want to see Pistol Pete's name still at the top of that list. And
I get that. I get that. I get it.
And look, if he broke it, okay, then great. That's exciting for that kid, and who knows what opportunities that might bring for him. But I don't know. It's tough to say. I don't want to seem like I don't want the kid to experience this great thing, but also it's a very different thing. If he played for LSU now and he was a really good player, that would be a different thing. But either way, if they're 6 games under 500 at the end of the year and he plays for LSU and he's a great player, I might want to see him a little bit more, get a chance to do that. But no, you don't deserve to be in it if you had a bad year as a team.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you had a bad team around you.
So I just pulled this up. So Indiana State was the number 1 seed.
Go Sycamores.
They played 16 seed. There's only 16 teams in the tournament. 16 seed USC Upstate Spartans, whatever that is. They were 16-16. So they had a 500 record. The next worst team would be the 15 seed. Where is the? Oh, they've got. 15 seed was Southern Indiana. Southern Indiana was 16-17. So they did have a losing record by 1 game. The 14 seed is Western Carolina. Western Carolina was 18-16. They had a winning record. I'm only doing one more. The 13 seed was North Alabama. And North Alabama was 18-15. So there's one team with a losing record, and it was by 1. So what was Detroit Mercy? You said 14-19.
They had about 14 wins. Yeah. That's good. I don't know how that team with the one less win than loss. However
they were 14-19.
Okay.
And they lost to Youngstown State, maybe 71-66. Here's the deal though. They're 14-19. They don't deserve that you didn't make it there. So now I'm starting to get upset with this kid who's crying and complaining that your team wasn't getting in anyway. So somebody might have emailed, your team shouldn't have been in. And if your team got in, it's only because of you. And that's not fair to the other teams that could have been invited.
I think I should clarify, and I should have.
You said he was upset.
Well, I think he's upset that people are trying to keep them out because they don't want to see him do it. And that's I understand that a little bit more. That people are like, you feel like people are rooting against you specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but here's the deal, bud. Your team's not good enough to be there. I even if your team's not good enough to be there, I still don't think that it's right for anyone to be sending anything just because their precious record will be broken. Like Hank Aaron dealing with death threats when he broke Babe Ruth's home run record, or any of these guys, just like you're breaking a record, man. It's a game. Who cares? That doesn't. Babe Ruth is still Babe Ruth, whether Hank Aaron holds the home run record or not. And he doesn't now, right? It's Barry Bonds. So there you go again. Like, I don't even care.
You acknowledge that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But what does that mean? Does that make Hank Aaron any worse? Does that make Babe Ruth is still a Thor-like person, a Herculean-like person, right? A half god, half human. What he did in his time was unreal, and I don't care if he's got the home run record or not. He was hitting 60 home runs, and the second place guy was hitting 22.
Mm-hmm. Chris,
it doesn't make him any. That doesn't do anything to the record to me. So anyway, I apologize. I know Pistol Pete's name may not have been up at the top anymore, but that doesn't do anything. Pistol Pete is still the greatest scorer in college basketball history at that point.
That's right. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
So,
calm down.
So Chris.
Calm down.
It's
okay.
Is it pronounced Chris?
CH, not
okay.
K.
Okay. Yeah.
Good to meet you.
So Tris.
Okay.
Tris.
People call me Tris all the time.
Okay, good. That's how it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pulling up this app because I need to tell you something, and we're going to go very, very quickly on this because we don't have time for this really. But
okay.
I think I messaged you about the first thing here the other night, and I am here to tell you that I have placed my first 2 sports wagers of my entire life.
Did you win them both?
I won them both.
All right, so here you're locked in. You told me when you made your first one, and you won. What was the first bet? I need to know how much, what the bet was, and what the payoff was.
You're gonna love it.
I've got a really good idea of what the bet. If it's more than $5, I'll have a heart attack right now.
So the first one was I took the I think it was the under, right? I'm still getting used to this app. Yeah, the under. I took the under Arizona State versus TCU.
Okay. Yeah.
Took the under on that, and I won that. Bet was $5.
Yes. Hit the nail on the coffin, baby.
That was
nail on the coffin.
Hit the nail on the coffin.
No, I don't know why we're putting a team away right now. But I'm losing everything today.
Arizona State was put away.
But what is that? I hit the bullseye. The
hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head.
But
thank you.
But
thanks for helping me and not making me sit over here guessing what I was trying to say.
Let's keep it. Okay, hit the nail on the coffin. All right.
I mean, let's if we're gonna do this and talk about sports gambling right now, let's get down to the nuts and bones of it.
Just for a second. Just for a second, I'll tell you what the brass knuckles were about it. All right. I took that under TCU Arizona State. Next game, TCU played Gonzaga. Went ahead and took the over. Gonzaga, big time scoring team.
Yeah.
Won that one. Bet $5.
Yes.
Paid out. Let's see. Yeah,
$8.90.
Paid out for both games. $9.34.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
And then I got the $200 for making the $5 bets. This is DraftKings. I put thank you for the sponsorship. I put the $200 in free bets. Apparently, it's like 8 $25 bets.
You have to make you have to do $25 bets.
All right. Well, it's not my money, so that's fine.
You only have a certain amount of time to make it.
So,
I think it's like a month or something like that.
Okay, I better hurry up. I mean, I'm 2-0. I'm thinking about retiring forever.
You might as well. It's as good as you've ever done.
It's
good as you've ever done on this podcast.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. As good as I'll probably ever do. This would be the only time I'm in the black. So anyway, that's it. That's the only thing we're talking about.
I love it.
My very first 2 sports bets.
All right, real quick, can we just do this before we get into the Mount Rushmore? Can we just talk real quick about the WBC because it really was really cool. I didn't see a lot of games. I saw about 3, but
saw exactly 3.
I watched the championship game, Japan versus United States. United States won the last one 6 years ago, or whenever 5. I don't know how long ago. It's been a while, and Japan won the first 2. And so this is a big deal. This is 2 powerhouses in baseball. It's Shohei Ohtani versus Mike Trout. And they kept talking about could they face each other? Oh, Shohei's not going to start, but he did say that he'd be available. He's running back and forth from the bullpen to the bench for his at bat, sprinting back and forth. He had 2 gloves walking out there at one point in time. I was like, so now is this dude not just hit and throw, but he also throws with both hands? Why does he have 2 gloves going out there? Because he ain't going in the field.
No.
Although he could have. He's probably the best outfield. He beat a ground ball to shortstop. He beat out a ground ball. I didn't realize how fast he was.
He's a world.
Oh no, it was a ground ball to second base. It was Trey Turner. Dove made the play and couldn't throw him out from second base.
Was Trey Turner playing second? I know the semifinal game, I think Tim Anderson was playing second. Trey Turner was playing short, but I don't know. I didn't really pay attention.
I thought Trey Turner was there. I thought it was Trey Turner.
They can still shift, I think, right now.
Oh, can they? Well, maybe that's what was going on. That could have been it. That could have been it. But yeah, insane. So and fastest guy out there, right? So and Mike Trout, his first at bat, bloops the ball into right field and gets a double out of it. That was so awesome, just to see how much it meant to those guys. So let's get down to the brass knuckles of this thing. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, to the nitty grimy.
It's 3-2. Schwarber hits a home run to get us one of the best at bats against Hugh Darvish I've ever seen.
That was
fouling
ball matchup.
It was watching those 2, and Hugh Darvish and here's the other thing. We are in Cincinnati. We don't get to see a lot of Angels games, right? You get to see highlights and stuff like that, but it's mostly Ohtani hitting. It's not a lot of pitching. That slider that he has, holy cow. That thing makes a left turn on a 90-degree angle. Holy, that's not even video game pitches. Anyway, Hugh Darvish has the same types of pitches too, which is why he has struggles with command at times. But Darvish goes against Kyle Schwarber, and Schwarber goes into like a 12 pitch at bat, fouls it, hits a couple bombs, foul. I'm like, this dude straightens one out.
I'm texting back and forth with my brother, and I text something like he just hit 3 home runs on foul balls, and I took it away. I didn't text that, and I texted him something else, and he said, and then Schwarber hits it, and he goes, he hit 5 home runs in that bat.
Like, we're thinking the same thing. Exactly. Unbelievable. So Schwarber does that. And that gets it 3-2. And we get to the top of the 9th inning. Japan is the home team. USA's up to bat. And sure as snot, Mike Trout comes up to bat with 2 outs against Shohei Ohtani. These dudes that have been playing together for 3 years now. And, there's been a couple interviews, and like Mike Trout had a couple interviews where it was like, yo, bro, like kind of didn't say it, but you could just tell by the way they were asking about how great his teammate was and all the stuff Shohei does. And he's kind of like, I mean, I'm still here too.
For the 8 years before he got here, I was the best player in the universe.
In the universe, yes, I was the best player to ever step onto a baseball field. I mean, literally, if you go back and you're going to look at Mike Trout's career, and I think it's going to be a lot like a Joey Votto for Reds fans, like Angels fans to Reds fans, right? Like, didn't really go very far in the playoffs. Probably, the big fan favorite, but at the same time, like, we didn't really do anything while he was here, and he's not really well. He's well known. It's Mike Trout, but it's, it just doesn't feel right because you didn't always have, somehow couldn't put a team around him. You couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. And it's like, dude, that's Mike Trout, bro. Like, God, this dude's hitting 320 with 35 home runs and 130 RBIs consistently every single year.
And he's putting up numbers like that and missing 20, 25 games because he gets hurt.
Yeah. the back injury that he was never going to be able to play baseball from.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa. Anyway, comes down to it. This is what it's all about, right? Mike Trout got three really good swings. The two fastballs that Ohtani just blew by him. And I'm telling you right now, Mike Trout gets a hold, touches one of those. That ball's going 587 feet.
It hasn't landed yet.
And John Smoltz is up there going, John Smoltz goes, I'll never forget it. He's got 2 strikes on him. And he goes, whoever was it, Shambi or whoever's doing the game with him was like, it wasn't Shambi because he's probably doing college basketball.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
Anyway, so he says to him, he's asking about what he would throw. And he goes, you just threw 200-mile-an-hour fastballs right by. Like in my head, I'm thinking, I'm throwing a fastball by him. He goes, but then you look out there and it's Mike Trout. Because I think there's something to that effect is what he said. And sure enough, he throws a slider that Trout swings and misses on just outside of the zone. And that's the end. And Japan wins it. And Shohei Ohtani has now put his mark. If you didn't already know how unbelievable this man was, I can't remember. He batted like 380 or something like that.
I thought it was like,
or was it 460? Maybe it was 480. Yeah, that like 4 something in it. He had home runs and beating out ground balls, and the fastest guy, the most power, the best hitting for average, best pitcher. He didn't give up a run in the entire thing. He pitched in 3 games and struck out like 8 of the 9 batters he faced or something. Oh no, he started one of the games. Anyway. Unbelievable. Japan doesn't lose a game. Congrats to them. But Shohei Ohtani, if you didn't know, now you know.
You better know. If you like baseball at all, Shohei Ohtani is probably the best player in Major League Baseball and probably the world.
How does that go? Is this the defining moment for Mike Trout? Is Mike Trout done? Like he just got struck out?
Yeah.
Against Shohei Ohtani. Is he just done playing baseball now?
I mean, he's a shell of himself, of his former self. Basically worthless now. You have to go on to your next guy. Who's going to be your next center fielder if you're the Angels? It's time to put him in.
Parker wants a pair of Ohtani's. His baseball cleats are Trout's. He's only worn them like 5 times for baseball now. And it's like, yo, bro, I need some new kicks. No, I'm kidding. Mike Trout is still a god. Awesome. Mike Trout is unbelievable. He'll be one of the top 3 players in baseball again this year. And Shohei Ohtani is just a freak of nature.
Shohei Ohtani will be one of the top 1 players in baseball this year.
And can we've talked about it so many times, like, how can he not be the MVP?
Yeah.
You affect a game in more than anyone else. You almost can't they don't give him an MVP just by default. Just because there is no one else that's fair enough comparison for him.
And unfortunately, he plays for a team that's not very good.
And that's the other thing. This is the last year of his contract.
I would love to see them have a good year, him sign an extension, Trout stay there for a while, and them actually be able to put a good team around those guys because I want to see Trout and Ohtani win one together.
I would love to see that. I would love to see those Angels team win. Those 2 deserve it.
Yep.
They deserve it. But it's too bad that the Cincinnati Reds just won again today. Mally's now 3-1 in spring training. That's your World Series winners for 2023.
All right. You heard it here first. I picked the Angels to win the World Series, and Chris picked the Reds.
Woo, boy, we're both going to struggle. All right, bud. So that's going to take us to the second last segment of the day, which is going to be a great Mount Rushmore you chose, which was the Mount Rushmore of current NCAA basketball coaches.
That's right.
This is a really good pick on your side.
Thank you. You start looking through a list or just a list of even Googling best college. There are lists out there that recently ranked these guys. A lot of guys have just recently retired. In Jim Boeheim's case, forced retired, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've just in the last couple of years lost several of the best coaches, longtime coaches. So we're down to, there's still a bunch of guys who've been around a long time, who've had a lot of success. There are a bunch of young guys that are coming up, getting a lot of attention. By the way, kind of an exciting time where there's a lot of turnaround, turnaround, I guess, in the coaching world.
Carousel. Ed Cooley leaving Providence to go to Georgetown. Almost doubled his pay.
I was gonna say
almost doubled his
money. They got the Jordan thing there.
Yeah, almost doubled his pay.
Yeah.
And then Patino almost doubled his pay. He was making like right at just under $1 million, and he's gonna be making like 3.7. No, I'm sorry. He was making 1.5. Yeah, whatever it was a lot. He's going to St. John's.
Going back to New York. That's right.
Not back to New York. Iona's right down the street in New York.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, yeah.
But
you're back to the Big East.
We're back to the Big East. Back to Madison Square Garden. So very interesting. Very, very interesting.
And then the Fairleigh Dickinson coach went to Iona.
Jumped on the run he just had and said, I'm gonna go do the same thing. That's the guy who doubled his money. He went from like 0.7 to 1.5. And it's that's a lot. That's a big double my salary. I'm good. Let's go.
Sure.
Way less than those guys make, but
I'm a millionaire now.
Yeah. Big money. All right. So in my eyes, there's at least one that's on this list, probably two if you're talking about Mount Rushmore, which is going to be like longevity, right? Like all time.
Okay. So
I think Izzo's on there, and I hate to say it, but I think Patino's on there. Longevity wise, everything he's done, and they're still coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are two that I put on there, even though I'm not a big Patino guy. But you got to give credit where it's due, right? Like he did it with a lot of programs, not a lot, right? Is that good? I got a lot of these today.
Dude, I just had a memory that I've got to talk about real quick.
Okay, let's go.
Do you remember being at a Reds game? I want to say maybe it was the first time they started interleague play again, and the Yankees came. I want to say maybe.
Okay.
And we were down there. And
was it when that we had like the worst fans in the world?
That's happened so many times.
Okay,
I don't even remember any. But we walked out through the garage, and walking right ahead of us to his car is Rick Pitino with, I think, his son or something. This is many, many, many years ago.
Yes.
And your dad goes, I think we saw him, maybe said something, and then we get to our car, get to your van. We're coming out. There's a line of traffic and everything, but there's like 2 lines to go out. We pull up, look over. Right here is Rick Pitino in his car, and your dad's like, Rick Pitino. Yeah. And Paul, I think, is in the front seat. Yep. And he's like, Paul, he rolls down the window. Your dad does. He's like, Paul, say hi to Rick Pitino. Hey, buddy.
Pitino.
I will remember that forever. We saw him there, and Paul said hi to him.
Yep.
Anyway, that's our Rick Pitino story.
There you go. I love it. That would have been early, like in the beginning of his Louisville career, or would that have been the end of his Kentucky career? Or in between.
Maybe somewhere
in between an NBA job somewhere.
Yeah.
Between the Celtics and Louisville.
It had to be the late 90s, maybe something like that.
I don't even know when he started at Louisville.
I don't remember either, but
he might have just won. Maybe he just won the national championship.
Yeah,
with Kentucky.
I don't know.
Anyway, all right. So Pitino is on mine.
Got it.
And then so here's where you got a bunch of them, right? You got guys like Rick Barnes. You got Tony Bennett. You've got Bob Huggins, who's been around forever. You've got Bill Self. You've got Thad Matta, Mike Bray, Scott Drew, Sean Miller, Dana Altman. There's a lot of guys that have been around for a while, been doing this for a while. Yep. Notice we did. John Calipari, as much as he's got a national championship. He's won everywhere he's been. The greatest college recruiter to ever live. And I don't care how you feel about one and dones. That man's the greatest college recruiter to ever live.
Of course.
They suck. They don't suck. They suck by Kentucky standards. And he's bringing in the #1 college recruiting class again.
Right.
Like of the 15 years he's been there, I bet he's had the #1 recruiting class 13 times, maybe more. Anyway, man, this is getting really tough because I'm putting Sean Miller on there, obviously.
Gotcha.
And we didn't even bring up that you're going to have a whole bunch of up and coming coaches. I already know it. So obviously for both of us, we're going to be thinking really hard about something close and near and dear to our heart. And Pat Kelsey, who's done wonders everywhere he's gone and is going to get a job somewhere at some point in time.
Well, he's got one now, but yeah, he will get another one.
Is going to get a big school job, a big conference job, a job in a big conference where he's going to have a better chance to get better seeds and really show off his X's and O's of coaching because the guy is unbelievable. I wanted him at Xavier when Steele came. We talked
Big
about it
time.
then. I wanted him to be here so bad when Steele came. We've been doing this podcast for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Steele's there for 5 or 6 years. Have we been doing it that long?
Maybe 5.
Maybe 5.
4 or 5, I was gonna say.
So anyway, those Steele years were so hard as a Xavier fan. But I wanted him bad, but I wasn't mad at Travis Steele. But it's like, okay, this is a Cincinnati guy, it's a Xavier guy, Skip Prosser guy. Like this is everything we want. Is he considered? Would he be considered Skip Prosser?
Pat Kelsey?
Pat Kelsey, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that man adores.
No, I know, but he played for Skip Prosser.
Oh, yeah.
Did he coach at Wake Forest with him?
Yes.
Okay, so then he would be a disciple.
Skip gave him his first college job.
Okay, that's why I wasn't 100% sure if that. I knew that Mac coached under him. Yep. I thought maybe they're probably on the same staff.
Yeah,
they had to be.
Yep, I'm pretty sure they were.
And Kelsey was coached by and Mac was an assistant coach under Skip at Xavier when Kelsey was at Xavier too, and with Skip Prosser. Anyway, Pat Kelsey's got to be somebody that you think about. Who else did I put on here? Did I say Bill Self, Mark Few? I'm going to go. For me, it's going to be between Self, Few, Calipari, and Pat Kelsey. And I'm going Pat Kelsey.
Love it.
It's an elder guy, so I got to go Pat Kelsey.
Love it.
I got to go with not just an elder guy, but an elder and a Xavier guy. Where was he at before he was at Xavier? He transferred to Xavier.
Wyoming.
That's it.
Chris, I am going. Is it Chris?
CH.
Tris, sorry. I'm going to go. Well, we'll start out with a couple guys you just named. I'm going Mark Few.
Okay.
I'm going to go Mark Few with the success that he's
God, I really want it. Like, if I was being honest, Mark Few would be my last guy.
Yeah.
I'm not being honest, but like going by the actual numbers of things. Anyway, continue.
I'm going to throw, and for some reason, I've never not bought into, but I've just never been a big, some of the big time programs with storied histories. I really like them because of that. Yeah. UCLA and that kind of, for whatever reason, I haven't latched on to Kansas with that stuff. And they had a bunch of great coaches before, Roy Williams and a couple guys, but Bill Self has
unbelievable,
continued that success and made it even better in some ways. Number 1 seed again. Unfortunately, he's going through some medical stuff right now, so he had to miss the tournament. But I'm going to throw him on there, and I put him on there as my 4th guy, just barely ahead. I wanted to do more like younger guys, just for fun. I thought about in that place. Thought about Shaka Smart. Yeah. I like Shaka Smart.
I didn't mention his name, but yes,
Tony
very much
Bennett
so.
at Virginia.
Yep,
I really like him a lot. Sean Miller, but I went ahead and went Self with my 4th guy. I got Mark Few, Kelvin Sampson. I'm putting Kelvin Sampson on there. The job that he's done.
I don't know what it is about Kelvin Sampson.
He had some trouble in his past.
Of course he did.
Bit,
yeah,
but so did
everybody on the list. Right. Rick Pitino's had trouble 3 times at one school.
Yeah, that's right. Sean Miller had Sean Miller's assistants were the ones that had trouble. Sean Miller had nothing to do with that. Okay.
I mean, he got no ramifications from college basketball and everything, and the federal government arrested his assistants, not him.
Yeah.
So I mean,
same thing that happened with Pitino.
The proof is in the pudding.
In the pitting.
I was gonna say I'm trying to get one. What do you call these sayings? What do you call these things? I'm trying to get one of these little little quid pro quos out without getting it wrong. Sometimes I just say the first word that comes to my head, and it's never right.
I love these.
Never right.
Oh my gosh. But it's right. When you get down to the brass knuckles of it, it really is right.
When you get down to the nuts and bones.
That's my favorite one. Okay. I'm going Kelvin Sampson, and he doesn't look like a guy that is a warm, fuzzy, fun coach, but he's probably a kind of one of those old school disciplinarians like Tom Izzo. And that's how he kind of seems. Mm-hmm. But man, that guy has done a really, really good job at Houston.
Yeah, I mean, wherever he goes, what was it, Oklahoma State or no, Oklahoma.
Sorry,
Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean, they were relevant.
He coached in the NBA for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like he is probably a really good recruiter because of that experience, probably especially in the NBA. And so I'm putting him on there. Maybe it's he's hot right now kind of thing, but those are my three so far. Bill Self-Mark for you, Kelvin Sampson, and I put Pat Kelsey.
You got to, right?
It's a heart thing more than a head thing. But yep, I'll tell you what, it's the guy is in right before the tournament started, a few days before their first game last week. Mo Egger had him on.
Oh, did he?
It was so every time he comes on local radio or anywhere really, it's so fun to listen to that guy talk.
So you listen to coaches, right? And coaches have this coach's speech, and the way they talk is not like other people. Interviews with a coach, they're like so technical, and like they choose their words so well. Dude, that's Kelsey to a T. That dude is so, like, his responses are perfect to every question.
And he also has another element of he can have fun with it.
Chris Mack, Chris Mack and stuff like that, right? Like they get into the questions of the game, and it's boom, 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 spitting things at you that are, oh, wow, holy cow, he's giving me a lot here. And then can tell you that, he's the greatest fisherman to ever walk the face of the earth or something.
That's right. And Pat Kelsey almost always does this, especially when he's on with like Lance or somebody or Mo. And he did this again. So Mo Egger, at the end of their interview, he goes, okay, so you have your game. I know you're focused on that. In 3 days, you have that thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you turning your notifications off on your phone for Bengals free agency? Or are you checking Red spring training games? And he goes into, he spends like 20 seconds talking about the Bengals free agent moves. Yeah. He knows them off the top of his head.
Yep.
And he's talking about other guys he wants to see. And then he goes into, he names like the top 3 or 4 prospects for the Reds. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh man, I can't wait. Ellie De La Cruz is the next Eric Davis, man. Oh my God. He's talking about, all these guys that are having great springs, and he knows this guy's hitting 462 right now. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And he's is so fun when listening to him talk about that. He always brings up being a West Sider, being a tough, bulldog kind of guy and stuff. It's just so fun to hear him talk. And he always talks about Cincinnati sports, even on national stages when they talk to him about stuff. So that's always really fun to me. He always keeps it, keeps it real or whatever.
Keeps it 100.
Keeps it 100. But anyway, Pat Kelsey's on.
Great job. I love it. That's perfect.
That's fun.
Good. All right. Nicely done. There's a lot of really good coaches. I was saying there's a whole lot of Sean Millers. There's a whole lot of Ed Cooley's. There's a whole lot of
I almost put Ed Cooley
guys like that. It's unbelievable. So, all right, Adam, that's going to bring us to the last segment, which is the comedy segment. That obviously for both of us is always our favorite. Bert Kreischer, this is the 3rd special we've done of him, or 2nd. I think it's the 3rd. There was Secrets. Remember Secrets or something like that? And then, I think this is the 3rd special we've done of Bert.
Did we do the Machine? That was like his first.
No, we didn't do the Machine.
So he's had 4 then?
4. Yeah, but we didn't do the Machine. We did, and I was going to go look it up before I got on here. But I'm pretty sure we've done 3. This is called Razzle Dazzle. So we've had conversations. The last time we did Bert Kreischer, we had conversations of, I said, I like, can we keep a shirt on? Secret Time and Hey Big Boy, Secret Time, and Razzle Dazzle. We did those 3. And it was kind of like, okay, Can we somehow get to a point where we can put a shirt back on?
Right.
I'm over the shirtless thing. It is what it is. I get it. Right. I know that's his thing now, and you got to do what you got to do. I would like to just say, for anyone who has not seen this special, this is a must watch. I laughed at every joke. This dude might be one of my favorite storytellers. And there's a lot of MF bombs and a lot, like, if you're not into the cussing and all that, don't listen to it. And if you're not into somebody who's going to tell a story about something that shouldn't have happened to his daughter or something, then don't. You remember, these are jokes. He's going to tell it like it's the truth, but 90% of the joke is probably made up. But a lot of it's going to come from something that really happened. But most of the jokes can be made up. So know that going into it. I'm not going to lie, dude. I laughed out loud a lot, like, throughout this whole thing. I don't think there was a joke that didn't hit. The escape room at the end. Oh my God. When his dad is tasting his fart.
Yeah.
It's the greatest moment. I couldn't stop laughing. I was having so much fun. And his daughters, the way that he talks about their sense of humor and the stuff, the reason they were at the escape room, dude, I can't tell you how much I love that stuff. I loved every bit of this. I wish I would have wrote some stuff down, because it was a lot of the silly, just little things that he would, like, in the middle of it, he would say something and I lost it. I'll let you go, but I'm going to tell you right now, I wish I would have wrote stuff down, because I laughed constantly. The Tom Segura text that he sent to his wife, and the comments from all the ones that she sent to the school moms. Oh my God. I was cracking up. The cool moms that got it. He sent it to his daughters, which was messed up too. But I'm going 4.7. Super high score.
Wow.
This is a super high score for me. I don't know if I was just in a different place. I watched this sitting on my couch. It was a little different than my normal seat of the car. But dude, this was excellent. I laughed hysterically throughout most of this.
Very good. Man, I'm glad you liked it that much. That's great.
What did you not like about
it? Well, no, I'll start by this.
Okay.
It was, can you hear me in your headphones?
No, I can't hear anything in my headphones, but that's all right. Keep talking, because we're definitely talking over here. Yeah.
Okay. It was the most I've laughed at Bert Kreischer.
I agree with that 100%. There's no doubt about that.
I kind of feel, and look, he's like one of the biggest comedians in the world now. He has more money than most guys. Is he on a Chappelle, Rock, Bill Burr level? No, but he's on all the kind of middle guys. He's at that top. He's kind of like that Tom Segura level.
Sure.
Although
absolutely.
I think Tom is as good as any of those guys myself. But
yeah, no, I would say Tom Segura is on a higher level than Bert Kreischer.
I think Tom's definitely funnier. I'll say it that way for sure. Bert has so much success though. And he sells tickets, so many tickets to shows. I think a big part of that is because he sells it as a party, and it's oh, there we go. He sells it as a party, and he's a big time party animal, and he talks about all the drinking he does and all the crazy stuff he does, and taking drugs and all that kind of, and a lot of people love that. And that's not my thing, you know that.
Yeah.
But so for me, I feel like he's so popular much more for those reasons than because he's so funny.
I agree with what you're saying.
Okay.
Which is why in the past I don't think I've rated the other two Bert Kreischer specials very high. I couldn't stop laughing during this.
This was his
He did what he was supposed to do. He went out and told jokes and made you laugh.
That's right. I think some of the stuff that he did, I was like, that's kind of I don't know, either low hanging fruit or just kind of not as good as it definitely could be. He could do better than that. But so there we go. So I think part of it too. Last summer, he had basically 2 tours going on at one time. This guy tours his brains off.
Yeah, and he's got like 3 podcasts and did a special, the woods or the cabin or whatever it was called with Netflix. Like, this dude works his tail off. Like, if you during the cabin, that was part of the, or was it the secrets? I think maybe it was his last special, but there was like a afterwards thing just showing all of the stuff this dude does, and it's constant.
Yep. I was just talking to somebody about him on the way here.
Yeah.
And was explaining Bert Kreischer. And I said he's really good for comedy because he has used all the money he's made, and they've got like 4 houses now, and like he spends money like you would not believe. But he doesn't go on the road and take an opener with him. He goes on the road and takes Mark Normand and Big J. Okerson and Dave Attell and Taylor Tomlinson, the best comics, with him to do shows with him. There's no competition. He is putting these people on. He is putting on these major giant shows, doing these huge tours, and taking other great comedians who are mostly funnier, in my opinion, than him.
Sure, yeah.
And he's headlining because it's his tour, but he is, and the guys talk about this stuff all the time on all these podcasts I do. He took 4 guys to the Super Bowl, surprised them with a week before the Super Bowl. He's like, yeah, I'm taking you guys to the Super Bowl, or I got 5 tickets to the Super Bowl. Who's going with us?
Who's going? Yeah.
He doesn't like flying. So he takes a bus. He has a tour bus. He probably has 3 of them now, but he takes a tour bus, and he takes all those people on this tour bus. If you don't want to sleep on the tour bus, he gets you a nice hotel. Otherwise, all the best stuff. He has nurses. He has all kinds of different massage therapists that he brings or he finds on this tour. You wake up in the morning, Shane Gillis, all these guys that go with him talk about it all the time. I woke up, I had a gourmet 5-star meal for breakfast while I was getting a massage, while I was getting an IV, which was a miracle drug because I
got hammered the night before.
I was, until 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm just hammering alcohol. And then I get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they give me all this attention, and I'm great to go for the rest of the day. Like, and that's we've talked about that before. Bert's ability to bounce back immediately. He'll be out all night, alcohol and drugs and all this kind of stuff, and he gets up at like 7 a.m. and goes to the gym, and he's working again, and he's totally like nothing happened. That's impressive.
It's hard to keep that body in shape.
It's hard to keep that body in shape, and he doesn't. So, but he's great for. I found myself saying that, like, he's great for comedy because of that.
Yeah,
he's getting all these other guys, more noticed and selling more tickets and that kind of thing. For him, he's just not the funniest guy in the world to me. But going back to, this was the funniest I've seen. And I did see him in Dayton at the Dayton Dragons stadium last summer.
Oh, that's cool.
And I saw at least half of these jokes then.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Makes a difference, man. It makes a difference.
Yeah, we
the
talked
Chris
about
Rock thing. Yeah. When you know the punchline coming.
Yeah. Yep. So I did remember, and most of that stuff I forgot. So I'm hearing it again, and it's jogging my memory, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And some of it was like, oh, that's funny, or he kind of punched that up since last I heard.
Yeah.
I don't remember that line. That was funny. But some of it was like, okay, yeah, I heard the joke about his daughter or whatever. All right, it was okay. Or, some parts of the escape room thing, I'm like, this is more of a story than a joke,
No, 100%. And I was going to say that when I did, like, that's the thing, is the story is the joke. His joke telling is storytelling. Mm-hmm. He's telling you a story. It's not like, here's my, front middle end of a punchline joke. It's that's his comedy is, let me find this funny thing that happened with me and my family. Let me juice it up and let me bring people on a ride in a story. It's a story. So when you say it, then it's more like a story. It's because that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's his comedy.
But I think there are other really good comedians that are storytellers. Tom Segura's like that.
100%. Yeah.
But I think other people do it a lot funnier in a funnier way. I feel like Bert is more of a funny idea guy, and he tells you the story about the funny idea. And there are little, tags and stuff in there that are also funny. But I feel like he's more of like, there's this big story, this big, huge, long story. And there's little funny stuff along the way. But other people are like, the way they deliver each little quick tag in there, it's like that part makes it a lot funnier. And then once you get to the punchline, like with Bert, it's like you get to the punchline, you get to the big ending, and you're like, oh, okay.
That was as funny as the rest of the joke, where it should be funnier, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. Or I'm like, that took him 15 minutes to tell that joke. Some of it was kind of funny, but there are all these other people that are like, will do kind of the same thing, but it's way funnier throughout.
Oh, I thought that some of his jokes, I'll definitely say that some of the middle of the story was funnier than the ending, but I don't think that made it any worse. I don't know. I thought it was great. Now I want to know what you have written down.
I still like Bert.
I want to know what you have written down.
I wrote it.
I feel like I way outdid you on this one.
You have, but I don't know how much way. I gave it a 3.8. We're just barely less than a point off, which is kind of a big gap.
Big gap when you're talking about 5. That's 25% off. Yeah, 20%. 20% off.
Yeah, 20% off. So head down to McAlvin's, grab your coupon, 20% off anything.
Blue light special at Target. Kmart.
That was Blue light special at Kmart. That's right. Yeah. The moonlight sale at McAlvin's.
Right. That's right. The moonlight sale at McAlvin's. And then Grandma always had to go to Penny's. Y'all want to go to Penny's? We're gonna go to Penny's. Get you some Husky jeans. Penny's. JC Penny's. Let's go down to Penny's.
So like
Grandma used to say it all the time. Grandma would be like, where'd you get that? I went down to Penny's the other day.
Yeah, that's right. Lazarus was a big one.
Lazarus.
Elder Beerman for a while.
Oh my gosh, we had a lot of them, didn't we?
We did. One of my favorite stores is TJ Maxx. Okay. They're on every single corner in every single city. So there are a ton of TJ Maxx's, they're always in a strip mall with the same other 3 stores or whatever.
Okay. What are the other 3 stores?
I'm gonna go Michael's. I'm gonna go
Old Navy.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Exactly. Anyway, TJ Maxx, you can find some treasures. You gotta search for them.
You gotta look.
My
sister used to work there.
You can find. Did you really?
Yeah, she worked TJ Maxx for a couple of years.
Okay. I don't know that.
In high school.
Okay. You can find these came from TJ Maxx.
nice NBA sweatpants that are just a little bit too short. But
short.
They're the
great wrapper.
What do you call them? They're the jogger with the big wristband on your ankle.
Yeah, the elastic around that.
Elastic around the ankle. Yeah. Elastic. Thank you.
$12, something
Can't
like
beat
that.
that.
You go online.
It's a 35, 80. It's an $80 pair of sweatpants. It's an $80
you go to
pair
Dick's, they're $85.
Yeah,
they don't have NBA stuff. But
that is so crazy how that TJ Maxx. I don't understand how that works.
I don't know either, but it's
name brand stuff though.
But it's like limited time, or there's something. I don't know. There's something about it. Maybe they spelled it, N8A or something like that. I don't know. But either way, you can get some quality stuff for cheap. I dated a girl for a while who, this was before I started going to TJ Maxx, but her mom, her aunt were talking, and they kept saying, "Oh, I got this from TJ's. Let's go to TJ's.
Let's go to TJ's."
And I'm like, what the heck?
What is TJ's?
TJ. And I finally figured out they were calling TJ Maxx TJ's. I've never heard that before.
Be like, if Grandma would have called JC Penney's JC's
JC's.
instead of pennies.
That's right. But still, even then, same thing.
If somebody said I was going to Max's, it would still sound just as weird as going to TJ's.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, I don't know why I thought of that, but you know what? Good job, Bert.
Good job, Bert. Yeah, well done. All right, so that means that we have two things to pick up for next week.
That's right.
We've got to figure out our Mount Rushmore, which unfortunately is on me, and we have to figure out our comedy special, which I'm sure you already have. So
I do already have.
Go ahead and do your comedy special first, sir.
In the last couple weeks, there's a young lady who's a good comedian. I've seen her on a whole bunch of different things, and she has a podcast herself. That's a really cool idea. So she is a professional foosball player. Her parents are both in the National Foosball Hall of Fame. I'm not kidding.
I know you're not.
She has a podcast that I guess you call it a podcast, or it's a show on YouTube, I guess, where she has other comedians on and interviews them while they play against each other.
I like that.
And she always
dominates, I'm sure.
And she will have two people. A lot of times she'll have two people on playing together against her, just her. Can
I tell you something?
Yeah.
I've had people act like they were great foosball players and be like, well, why don't you and somebody else? I'll beat both. There's a lot of times where I'm ready to elbow the dude next to me, like, get out of the way. You're not helping the team. Yeah. I feel like whoever I'm playing against did this on purpose because they know they can beat the two of us because we're not going to be on the same page. And I'm going to have a guy down, or you're going to have a guy down in front of me when I shoot, and I'm going to hit your guy because you didn't roll him halfway up, and I'm going to start getting irritated with you. I don't want to play doubles. I don't play singles. So I don't blame her.
She's played and beaten every single person she's played.
Does she yell at them if they do the spin?
Oh, they lay down rules.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't, no spins.
No spins. Yeah.
So she's really, really, really good. She plays in like professional tournaments and stuff too.
Obviously, she's a professional foosball player.
Yeah. And she will.
What do you think you'll win? If you win, how is that like in golf? If you don't make the cut, you don't get any money. But there's 100 guys that make the cut or whatever, 120, however that works. So if you what's the cut for foosball? And if you don't, do you make them the weekend? Like if you don't do well on Thursday and Friday, do you get to play Saturday and Sunday? What's the money that we're shooting for?
I don't know. I mean, are they
splitting $1,000 purse 15 ways?
It sounds like that would be the case, right?
That's what it feels like to me. All right, guys. We got
$100 for the first.
We have $3,000 that we're gonna split 100 ways.
Oh my god! All right, so 100 Ways is one of my favorite songs.
There you go.
Okay, she is a really good foosball player. She has this podcast. It's pretty good. She interviews comedians while they do that. She also has videos of people at her shows challenging her after the show. I will beat you in foosball, and she's like, come on, that's ridiculous. No, we'll play $100. I will beat you in foosball
right now.
Okay. She's like, all right, I hate to take your money. She dominates those people every time.
Of course she does. She's a professional. That's like me saying, I currently hold the youth baseball dad championship belt in cornhole.
Yeah.
Right now. I'm unstoppable. Right? In my backyard against other kids' dads. But when I play in a tournament against professional cornhole players, I'm getting smoked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know how she fares in these actual real big tournaments, but or what the prize money is or anything like that. But for the common man, she's really super good. And she's a pretty good comedian too, by the way. So we're going to find out how good she is. She just came out with a new special on YouTube called The Hustler.
Obviously, she's got to make some foosball money. I mean, there's not a lot of bars, I imagine, that have a foosball table for you to hustle on. But where do you go to hustle foosball?
I feel like there's a lot of places you can find a foosball table.
Oh yeah, tell
Don't
me
you think so?
one.
I mean, I don't go to places like that around here, but I mean, you
don't go to those dive bars with the foosball table in the background. I've never been to a bar. I've never been to a store. I've never been to an outlet mall. I've never been to an Elder Beerman that had a random foosball table.
Ever been to a Penny's with one?
No, we just had a foosball table to like put my quarter up on the edge of the table. I got next. You gotta hit the change machine to get the ball to come out.
I feel like a lot of the places that would have not a lot of the places, some of the places that would have pool tables, a place like a Dave and Buster's, an arcade, any kind of place.
I don't know that I've ever seen a foosball table at a Dave and Buster's or a GameWorks or a Chuck E. Cheese.
Really?
A foosball table?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I feel like.
How do you get the ball? You go up and ask for a ball to play with?
It's in there, I think.
There's just a random ball in there. I guarantee if it's at any Dave and Buster's, GameWorks, or Chuck E. Cheese,
all the balls
or around here, there ain't no ball in that thing. I tell you that right now. That thing's gone. Some little kid picked it up and threw it at their dad, or threw it at some random stranger for not giving them a quarter.
Yeah, I don't know, but
she's hustling. She's hustling. She's hustling. She probably brings like a breakdown one with.
Probably.
Yeah, it's just in a
pretty serious.
Yeah. My dad bought a foosball table. Do you remember our old foosball table we used to have? He bought that thing when we moved into the house. It's been 20 years ago. And it was in the living room. Like he had it in the living room, in the back of the living room.
Yeah.
And it was like really nice. It was like a real nice mahogany and had like real nice, the feet were like this copper like thing. It was, dude, this thing was like, and it was like 600 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And you could not move it.
You got a good one.
And I don't know whatever happened to that. No idea. I think I went to the basement for a minute, but we had a foosball table for a long time. But there was rules at our house. There's no spinning. You don't spin.
Let's be serious.
We're playing for real. You don't just.
It's not a toy.
No, it's not a toy.
This is a competition.
This is my canvas, and each man is my paintbrush.
I like that. I'm an artist. I'm an artist with the bike handles.
Yeah. All right, Michael
Like
J.
technique.
Fox. All right, Michael J. Fox.
Oh, easy. Is he one of the greatest foosball players now, I guess?
He's got to be. I mean, as he's moving his guy, he's constantly kicking.
It's going to be when
Is it a kick? Do you kick?
Yes.
With a foot? Okay, just wanted to know.
Yeah. With one cyclops foot.
One cyclops foot. One giant
Whatever
boot
that's
foot.
called.
Yeah. One giant boot foot.
That's right. When Michael J. Fox passes, I'm going to be very sad. I love that man.
Such a great guy. Yeah.
Gosh. And I've seen him recently. Wow.
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been dying from Parkinson's for 15 years, 20 years, man. He has been. I don't mean that in a bad. I don't mean it mean. He came out with that show. Remember, he came with the show after he came down with the park, and they're like, "Oh, I'll never see Michael J. Fox again." Then he ended up on some show, Six and Park. Is that what it was called? Oh, I don't know. I was like, I don't know, maybe, but I can't remember what he did in it. But he was like a boss or something in
Harvestone Park, right?
Something like that. But no, yeah, like.
Yeah.
It was good, but y'all, they kept talking
just
like,
shoot me.
No, but it was like a just shoot me.
Yeah.
But he always had his hands behind him or in his pockets and stuff like that. You just waited until it was going to happen.
But man, God, Family Ties and Back to the Future and Teen Wolf, those are my favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Mike Fox.
Is it Michael James, do you think?
Could be.
You think he's a Jonathan? I mean, there's no other J, really, right? Is there another J?
Those are the two J's, really.
Is there, though? Is there a J? Like a normal, whatever you want to call it?
There's no such thing as a Joe or a Jim.
Average.
Joe
and Jim.
James.
Yeah, James. Jim would be James. So Joseph would be the other. That's common.
Michael Joseph Fox, maybe.
John, James,
Joseph. Schmidt.
Jacob. I don't know. Jacob's. I don't put that with those.
A little Jewish. I don't know that he's Jewish. You know?
Is Jacob Jewish?
I think so.
What? Seriously?
I know a rabbi named Jacob.
So you know a rabbi named Jacob, so that makes Jacob Jewish?
I have to assume. my ignorant, stupid mind has to assume.
I know a rabbi named Daniel. So Daniel's obviously Jewish. I know a rabbi named Adam. I mean, that
A
is
rabbi named Hezekiah.
Jacob.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jewish, huh? I never heard
Hezekiah with a J. Another J name.
Jacob Goldsmith.
Or some kind of Steen.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Jacob is a Jewish name.
Have you
I need
had
to
enough
know if
time?
Jacob is a Jewish name or not? Best
Find out.
Jewish names.
You know what?
The Mount Rushmore Jewish names.
The producer on the Bonfire's name is Jacob, and he is Jewish as well.
You're getting upset with me that I'm laughing at you about you grabbed your phone so fast to find out if Jacob is a Jew. I mean, okay. The Jacob from the Bible had to be a Jew, right?
Probably.
I mean, blah, blah, blah.
Is Jacob only a Jewish?
No, it's not only a Jewish name.
Jake is a boy's name of Hebrew origins, meaning supplanter.
Okay, hold on now. Hebrew origins doesn't make it. I mean, there's a lot of like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. They're all Jewish. They all have Hebrew. I mean, those guys all wrote the Bible, and they were Jewish before they were Christians.
Does that make them? Okay, let me finish this.
Okay, sorry.
Jake comes from a long line of siblings, including Jack and John.
Okay, so Jack and John are both Jewish names now
Jill,
too,
and shares strong biblical ties via Jacob.
Okay,
Jacob was a prominent patriarch of the Israeli tribes in the Old Testament and Esau's twin brother. So there you go.
So
Jacob is obviously exclusively a Jewish name. There's no such thing as a Gentile Jacob.
Jacob, so Jewish.
Yes.
It's just that's first. I love that. That's the first. It's funny how people have a name, have things like that, and they think of like a rabbi named Jacob. So Jacob. Oh, so he's Jewish.
Obviously Jewish.
I'm so sorry for laughing so much at that. It's just I would never think of a name being Jewish unless it was like, I don't know, or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think there are names.
I guarantee
there
definitely are. There definitely are. Goldstein and I think of last names though when I think of Jewish.
Yeah. But there are first names that are, I think, more prominent in
Mark.
Jewish.
I mean, like the names from the Bible: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
Are all the people that wrote books in the Bible Jewish though?
But they were disciples of Jesus, and Jesus's disciples were all. No,
I don't think those guys were disciples, were they?
Oh, okay. So,
or were they?
I'm pretty sure they were. How else would they have been able to write stories about what Jesus did all the time?
I have a question. When did they graduate from apostles to disciples?
Or did I think it goes from disciple to apostle. I think that goes from disciple to apostle.
What is the testing point?
That's a good question. Jude.
That's St. Jude.
Judal.
Go Bulldogs.
I used to think that we played a team called Judaw, like it was Judaw, and it was Judal or something like that. I don't know.
Were they combined when you were in grade school?
No.
Okay.
No. St. Al's and St. I don't know. Anyway, holy cow. Yes, but no. The guys that wrote, those guys were all. I thought they were all part of his 12 disciples. What are the apostles? I don't even know what the apostles are now.
His bros, his gang.
I thought that was the disciples. I thought he had the 12 disciples, and that was his gang. Like if you were you threw your D's up, if you were with Jesus, you know what I mean? Throw that disciple sign up. Kyle, let's go. Let's go, Holmes. Let's go. Whoa, hey, hey.
How do you throw up a J for Jesus?
J, yo, hey, yo. Throw that J up. If you're a disciple of Jesus, is Jesus a Jewish name? Because he was 100% Jewish.
Yeah, I would say so.
But to me, it's a Mexican name, right?
Yeah, but they pronounce it different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How come they can still name their kids Jesus, but we can't name our?
Nobody
names our
white
kids
guy.
Jesus.
Don't name your kid Jesus.
I mean, that's terrible. I don't understand, but they're predominantly Christian people as well.
Yeah.
But they can name their kid
Even
Jesus.
more so, I think. I mean, they make those candles, those long, thin candles.
Yeah, those sweet candles with the face on the front. Joe Burrow's face.
Or Joe Burrow or Mary or any of those Jews. Yeah.
Mary or Mary Magdalene.
Mary, I would say both.
You think they're accurate
I would
depictions?
say if
you think they're accurate depictions of what they look like?
Of course. Of course they were. All right. Have you had enough time?
No, I haven't. I can't stop.
Mount Rushmore of Jewish people.
That's a good one, actually. Okay, I got Adam Sandler, Rod Carew.
Goldie Hawn.
Only half a Jew. Oh my gosh. Great song. Adam Sandler. How about we've done Adam Sandler movies? So
he's they just announced the other day that he is getting the Mark Twain Lifetime Achievement Prize or whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Good for him. Yeah. He deserves it. Which one of the crazy award shows is that on?
It's its own thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it's just on its own.
Chappelle won it last year.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. That was really cool. That was really good. Yeah.
Because they have a bunch of comedians come out and do stuff.
Yes. Okay. I do remember what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Is he going to sign another 10 movie deal with Netflix, you think?
The thing is, he has so much freedom because he has his own company. He can produce anything he wants. So maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Good for him. All right. Here we go. So what was her name that we're doing the comedy special?
Oh, Kelsey Cook.
Kelsey Cook, the hustler, the foosball hustler. Kelsey Cook, the foosball hustler. And I am going to do, let's go with a Mount Rushmore of, I want to try to keep this in the NCAA because we're still so hot and heavy in this tournament. We've done Mount Rushmore of Cinderella teams. That was pretty bad.
Oh God, I'm very ashamed of my mind sometimes.
I have no idea.
Should I? Never mind.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll tell you the joke after we stop.
All right, sounds good. Cinderella teams. Let's go. Mount Rushmore of. This is so bad. Duke Blue Devils.
Okay. Rushmore of Duke Blue Devils.
So there's that, and then you have Kelsey Cook, the foosball hustler.
The hustler.
And we have got, and that's on YouTube, and from there, we're gonna end this podcast because it's way too late, and we have pushed this thing way too far. So for everybody out there, thank you if you stayed on for this 3.5 hours that we've been here, and don't forget to turn your headlights on.